What's going on, guys? Damon Sansum here, and these are my top tips for making weight for competition. Number one. So the first one that I'm going to say is reducing your carbohydrate intake in the evenings. Generally, you'd have usually the people have a small breakfast, a little bit bigger lunch, and then a big dinner at night time. I think this is what's happened, and society's got into this pattern. However, what you need is to reverse it, okay? So if you think about it, when you're training, I'm training twice a day, you might be training once a day for your competition. You need to have a big breakfast, a decent sized breakfast, protein and carbs to fuel your session, your kicking session, your S&C session, strength and conditioning. So you'll have a good sized breakfast and you'll have a good lunch, okay? And at night time, you want to reduce it. You want to reduce your carbohydrate intake, but keep your protein high. For me, I cut out carbs completely when it's close to competition, and that's what will lose your fats. That's the main point for me. So when you if you have a massive heavy carb meal at night time, a lot of pasta and rice, when you're sleeping, obviously you're not burning that energy. So sometimes it'll sit in your body, and you won't use that energy while you're sleeping, and it can transfer to fat. The next day when you train in the morning, as long as you have a good slow release carbohydrate, that will fuel you for your session. So you don't necessarily need much carbs in the evening, if not none, when you're cutting weight for competition. Number two, don't lie to yourself. When you're making weight and dieting, it's tough. You will want to snack in the evenings, and you will want to have hunger, you have cravings. I know there's times when I've dieted really hard, I've gone to bed excited to wake up for breakfast because that's how hungry you are. So be clever with your snacks, okay? And the timings of them and what you have. Avoid any obviously very high sugar things, any chocolate, crisps, snacks like that, obviously not too good. Handful of almonds, you've got a lot of diet things out there, even things that I suppose they're not amazing for you, but you've got some like low calorie jellies, glass of milk, some of the hot chocolate, the low calorie hot chocolate you can have. Just check them, there's loads of options for snacks, from healthy snacks. Number three, when you have your carbohydrates, be clever with it. For example, say in the morning you've got a strength session or a light jog or a cardio session of some sort. You don't necessarily have to have a lot of carbohydrates. As long as you're not burning muscle and it's a massive session, you can just fuel that on some good protein. A nice omelette, something like that, and maybe a tiny bit of carbs, just really reduce it. When you have a big session, like a kicking session, a martial arts session, that's when you can put your carbohydrates before, because you're going to need that to burn throughout the 1 hour session or 2 hour session. So you need to be clever and strategic for planning your days. So when you think you're going to need the energy more, put the carbohydrates in. When you think you can strip it back a bit, then reduce them. So it's being smart and clever. So that's kind of like a few weeks out. When you get close to competition, you want to be really strict, obviously, but keeping your protein up, that's the main thing. If you get it in food, if you get it in shakes, just so you don't lose any muscle in the process. Number four, don't leave it last minute. The biggest point of them all, don't leave it last minute. All the other things I've mentioned, it doesn't really matter. Take your time to plan it, okay? If you leave it last minute, it's not going to work. You're going to lose muscle, you're going to struggle. You're going to cut out a lot of protein and just cut everything out. You're going to struggle in your training sessions. You're going to have to reduce your carbs completely, and then your training is going to struggle. You're going to have to focus on losing the weight as opposed to performing in your training. So when you're 2 weeks out from a tournament, 1 week out, you're not even thinking about your training session. You're thinking about making weight, putting on extra layers, training a little bit more, and just tiring your muscles. And your mind is on weight making as opposed to performance. So do not leave it last minute. That's the main point. Take your time, a few weeks out, gradually come down, lose probably 0.6, 0.8 of a kilo of fat if you can a week. Don't do it drastically, because when you do it will affect your performance. When you make the weight and you stand on the scales, you don't get a gold medal. You get a gold medal when you perform well in the competition. The best you perform in the competition is when you've made the weight the best. So if you made weight really well and you perform really well, you've got a better chance of giving your best on the mats. So don't leave it last minute.